Hey everyone, and thanks for watching 3dmotive.com. My name is Cordell Felix, and on this video, I will show you how to do a quick concrete or stone beat up in ZBrush. This technique is great for damaging any type of stone or concrete structure in a realistic way. I will be using ZBrush 4R4 for this video, and this video assumes that you have a basic knowledge of sculpting in ZBrush. I'm going to be using this set of concrete stairs that are in some sort of slab. This is the finished product of what the stairs turn into. Now let's start from the beginning, and I will show you how to get them to this point. Now I'm back at when I imported the mesh. You can see here that it is subdivided almost completely even, and I have some of the edge control going on. This is so I can keep some of these hard edges in the stairs here, like in these bevels. Now I'm going to subdivide it, and before I do, I'm going to turn off this smooth button right here, because if I smooth it now, if I hit Control D to subdivide it, you can see that it kind of turns into a big pillow. So I don't really want that. So let's turn that smooth button off, and now I can subdivide it. So when I subdivide it, it won't really show in the polyframes, but I know that it's going to subdivide the mesh without actually smoothing it, so I get to keep some of those hard edges. So now that I subdivided it twice, I know that it's very quadded up in there, and the quads are very close. So if I turn smooth back on, and then now I divide it again with Control D, I'll do it once or twice. So now it's at 1 mil polys. Now the edges are kind of hard, so they're not very pillowy, and I can work with this. Now we can get into the fun part and sculpt it up. I'm going to use about two brushes. One brush is to do the stone beat up, and another brush is to add some cracks. The main brush I use to add damage is the clay tubes brush. I can get to this brush by hitting B, C, and T, or I can just press B and go right here to clay tubes. I like to use this brush. You could also use the mallet fast brush or the clay buildup or some other type that gives off the same effect. The other brush I use is called the Dam Standard, and this I will be using for cracks. Let's add in some damage now. So with the clay tubes brush on, I'm gonna be holding down Alt when I sculpt. I can also go into Sub, but I like to hold down Alt when I sculpt, so let's do that. And I'm gonna subdivide this one more time so I get a little bit more detail when I do sculpt. So when I sculpt, I hold down Alt, and then I just kind of use the brush and I beat into it like this. I'm just holding Alt the whole time and just going at it. And I like this because I can kind of force some of these ledges like into the mesh like this. It doesn't really matter that happens because in the final result when I bake this in, it's gonna look nice. I'm not gonna have any weird errors or anything. So I'm just getting a basic idea of how I want this to be. I'm sculpting in perspective mode. I don't really like to sculpt in orthographic view. It's just kind of weird to me. I know that I want one of these ledges to be kind of broken up, just to break up some symmetry. And this side maybe just has some random damage, and maybe some of these ledges just have some general damage. And I'll be going into the stairs too, into some of those crevices, and has some cracks and whatnot. So I'm going to keep going at this ledge right here, and I'm going to make this kind of really beat up. So I have a bigger brush, so it's easier to put in some of this detail. And I just want a nice silhouette for this broken edge. So just keep breaking in this. It gets a little tricky sometimes because you'll get some pinched edges if you try to force some geometry in, but usually works out. So just keep going. I mean, this maybe won't be completely perfect, but I'll get it to where I want. Whoa. Smooth this out just a bit. Break into it again. I don't want to do that actually. Let's Control Z out of that. Okay, that's fine. So that's a good rough shape right there. I'll probably go have a smaller brush and I'll go in there and do a bit more detail, some stuff like this. And sometimes you could get like a general square like that. I try not to leave those in. I'll try to just beat up, you know, nice and fine, so I don't get any of those shapes like that. Probably go in here like this. And I don't really have any reference up or anything. I just have a good idea of what this is going to look like, and just spamming the brush button, it makes it look like concrete enough to where you can just get away with it. I'm pressing the brush a lot. I'm not like holding down and dragging. I'm like basically hammering at it with my pen, with my stylus. Maybe that little part will come out still. Maybe this goes all the way down like this. Breaks in here. It's very easy to get carried away with your cracks. and try to leave some of those ledges like that. So that way it kind of caves in a little bit and it looks kind of more natural. So I'll leave that edge and I'll kind of sculpt next to it so that way that ledge kind of pops. Like that. It looks pretty decent. It looks kind of like it is a broken piece of concrete. So let's go over to this side now, and I won't completely break it off like that one. I'll just add some general corner damage. Maybe it'll break down here and come up like that. It's really difficult. I mean, it's not. You won't really mess up too easy. If I make like a random thing like that, it's easy to make this into something believable. You know, you can get some happy accidents. Turn that into a nice damage. And maybe I'll add some cracks in later around here to make it a little bit more believable. Since that was chunked off, maybe a big metal thing hit this and took off this corner, so maybe it should be a little deeper. That's okay. And one of my favorite things to do, which is very, very quick and easy, is to basically go to this edge or any edge and just hold Alt and scoop just some parts out along. Because if you do that around the whole mesh, it looks, you know, you can get some good results. And every so often, you could just go like this, just scoop out some areas. Maybe some parts you'll break out like that. It's very easy to get carried away sometimes. Let's do that to some parts, maybe this corner. I'll probably go around now to most of these top edges and just rough them out a bit. So I'm just going to go around and do this. Let's take a chunk out of the back here. Maybe this will be a nice chunk. Bring him up there. Usually when a big concrete is taken out, more of it comes along with it. A lot will follow. Trying to bring that to more of a point. Okay. Something big must have hit this corner. Okay. I don't want any of these corners to be too sharp, so I'll rough most of them out. Go back a bit. Let's try to keep this one a bit intact compared to the others. You don't want everything being completely damaged. Kind of sculpting upside down now. That doesn't matter. I'm just trying to get these edges. Maybe some of it will eat up here to the main surface. I'm just trying to be really quick about this. I don't know if it's going to look too great in the end, but it'll be good. It'll be fine. Okay, that's cool. So it's a lot more pleasing to look at than just a flat corner, you know. Yeah, I think I missed this edge. Yeah. And all this will bake into the normals very nicely. I've done this to a couple props already. I might be going a bit overboard with all these corners, or all these edges being beat up, but it's just to show you. Oh, Okay, so that top layer is pretty damaged. Let's try to go to some more corners. Maybe this guy right here. Try to sculpt very quickly. If you try to put too much attention to what you're sculpting, you're just gonna get carried away and it's not gonna look realistic. I just kind of mindlessly knock at these things until it looks something decent or somewhat decent. And if it doesn't look decent, I will just smooth it out or just Control Z and start over. That was kind of cool. It's like someone was gnawing at the edge of this. Some monster. Let's take out this corner a bit more. Let's push him in. Sometimes zoom out to look at the silhouette of everything. Make sure nothing's too wonky. This guy, he doesn't look very believable, so let's turn him into something. Okay. I usually end up not liking corners, so I'll just break them off. I don't know why, it's just fun. I'd be going overboard again. That's a bit too straight to look natural, so I gotta beat that up now, just a bit. Leave some of the concrete back. So let's go into these steps here and just do some more edge damage. And I could run along this bevel with just like a couple strokes, and it'll give me like a nice layered effect. If I can zoom in, kind of looks like those edges were chipped a bit. And that's just if I'm zoomed out a little bit, so the brush can get it and just run down the crack. Maybe I'll just speed this up now a bit because I'm going to be going to the stairs and just doing the general damage I've been doing. So let me go ahead and do that. I'm pretty happy with how the damage looks so far. So now I want to add some cracks. So I'm gonna press B to go into the brushes and look for dam standard. I think if you hit D, it'll isolate everything out, and then right here. So if you hit BDS, it'll give you dam standard. So now I want this brush to be fairly small. Let me test it out. Let me go to one of these steps here. Maybe this guy right here. And I want it on Z sub. Let's do the intensity to about 40 something, so my cracks will be nice and deep. And using the dam standard, so the brush should be small, and the intensity should be kind of high, and it should be on sub, so I don't have to hold Alt. If I hold Alt, it'll move everything up, it'll extrude. So when I add the cracks, I'll just try to do whatever I think looks best. Maybe a crack will go from here all the way to here, and maybe it'll split right here. And I can do some like scrambling stuff, like I can kind of just draw over here, kind of scramble it. Like I'll draw in circles like that, but maybe in some areas over here, smooth that out because it's kind of digging in there. And I'll just do some random splits, do some scrambles. These cracks, they kind of have a mind of their own, and I don't really know the anatomy of a crack, but I can fake it, so. Maybe this chunk went down to here, so this guy will go there. Maybe it split two ways right there, and split again. I don't have the best resolution, but I don't really need too much resolution to do this. Maybe this crack will get a bit larger, so I'll do some scrambles up here. Kind of make that cut deeper. From far away, it looks pretty cool. Up close, the resolution isn't so great, so you can't get away with too much. Maybe this will break up here again. Get into that crack. Usually cracks tend to do this, where they fork away. Doing too many forks won't look too great. This looks like a good opportunity to make a crack. I'll smooth out some areas. If I dig into here, I'm gonna smooth it out because I don't want the crack to go into there. Want some cracks around these areas too. Let's see here. Maybe a crack will wrap around this corner like that. Split down the middle. Looks like it's digging in a lot. My intensity is pretty high for this part. That's okay. Bring my intensity down to about 30 something. Let's crack this area too. It's pretty fun doing cracks. Kind of just mindlessly do it. Just do a chip here. And maybe a chip there. Kind of scramble it a bit. Cool. Oh. ZBrush likes to do some fun perspective things sometimes when I'm trying to zoom around. Let's see here. Maybe I'll do a crack all the way from here to about up here. I'll just try and do like a sort of straight line. Then I'll fake the rest. Let's crack them up there. And it looks like too fat, so I'll just go in and kind of just scramble the insides like this. Maybe do a couple of extra brush strokes. on the sides to kind of get rid of that pillow effect that's going on, because cracks do not do that. This crack might be too straight in general, but whatever. I don't really like the way this crack is turning out, but it's okay. Maybe he just needs to break up more. Let's break you up down here. Another one right there. Maybe even another one. Kind of looks a bit more interesting. Cracks tend to be a little bit continuous, so I think I'm doing a bit too much. To be very sloppy with these corners. Break off some more edges. Make it looks like it's kind of crumbling. Okay, that's pretty cool. And let's do one up here for good measure, from here to there. Do a couple extra strokes to get that layered effect. It's like it's been scratched at, almost. Kind of like that. Break right here. Give that edge some depth. I'm gonna bring out the clay tubes brush and kind of dig into here a little bit, because this crack got a little too large, so maybe it's large enough to actually hammer into. That's really deep. Okay, BDS to go back to my damn standard brush. I like to do that one area like this, and then where I break it off again like that. Cracks love to do that kind of stuff. Plus it looks nice. Gonna bring him back over here. Maybe he'll come down this bevel. Let's do a crack across. Got a bit curvy there. Break one down. Now if I wanted to, I could go a bit further to make this look a bit more realistic. I could add some noise. I already have a curve here set, and I can preview this. I want my scale to be all the way up, and I want my strength to be very minimal. So now with that, I can hit OK. And you can see it previewed on here right now. When I hit apply to mesh, it will kind of blow the mesh up, and it won't look too good. You can see that it rounded out a lot of the corners and just it looks like bubblegum almost. So what I want to do is I want to hit mask by noise a couple times. That way it'll mask that thing, and if I keep clicking it, it'll make the mask a bit more harsh. And then now I want to try and apply this noise. I'm going to change this to positive strength actually, so positive 0.001. Just drag this a bit to the right. Come on. There we go. Okay. And I'm going to hit apply to mesh. Let's see what that does. And get rid of the mask. And now it doesn't look as pillowy. We'll probably get some weird stuff like this. Maybe I could smooth that out or something, or even just hammer that back in. BCT. But that's what noise will do to your mesh. It'll explode a lot of parts. It does that. It does this stuff because the strength is too high. So you don't want the strength high when you apply it. So if I don't want as much as that stuff, I will just move this strength a bit lower. But for the most part, it's adding a bit more realism into the concrete, making it look more like stone or concrete or something. It's adding some random damage that I like. It's doing some more of the stuff here. I don't like that. Probably just smooth it out, hammer it down. So now that I'm pretty much done beating up most of the edges and stuff, and looking at the overall feel of this thing, it looks pretty good because it flows well. All the corners are pretty beat up, and you can tell this thing's very old. And I could have spent more time on this if I was doing this for like a game or some project. That way some of the more beat up parts would look a bit more realistic. Maybe the cracks I'd spend more time on. Maybe get some actual crack reference and use that to add my cracks. I just did these from my own head. They're not perfect, but yeah, they work for now. So if you just take your time and practice this, you'll get something that looks really good. I have a couple examples that I want to show that I've used this technique on and I've gotten some really great results, like on pillars and bridges and stuff like that. So let me show you those, and that will conclude this tutorial. Here are a couple assets that I use this technique on. You can see here that I use the damaging the corner and the cracks and everything, and I spent a bit more time on it, just trying to make things look as best as I could, and I had just more time on cracks and everything. Here's some more cracks that I did. You can see that you can get a very nice result if you just spend more time on it. Here's a modular bridge that I worked on, and the surface noise really came into effect here. And this was for a modular piece that eventually turned into this. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed watching this technique. My name is Cordell Felix, and thank you for watching 3dmotive.com.